Hey everybody, we're back again. This is West Atlanta Bourbon Society. We've got some really cool stuff for you today. As you see, there's no bottle here. That's because somebody sent us samples, so we don't have a bottle of this. We're going to go through some old dusties today, some old stuff that, from way back in the day. Today we're going to be doing a Booker's Brown Wax. It was sampled to us by a fellow bourbon viewer of us. They went ahead and sent us a sample of the Booker's Brown Wax. It's a 1980s Booker's, the regular Booker's bourbon from Jim Beam. And we'll introduce everybody real quick. I forgot that. So I'm Kevin.
It's John.
Gary Jordan. Nice to meet you.
World famous Gary Jordan.
Not a singer, no. Not the other Jordan. Local singer. But it was like I said, gifted to us by one of the Patreons of our show here, and they want us to try it. They know that this man right here is the biggest fan of Booker's that's ever lived. So
that is true.
So they sent us this sample and said, "Hey, I've got some old Booker's Brown Wax. I want y'all to review it, and I want moreover for John to get a sample of it." So I thank you so much for that, guys. And like I said, Jim Beam and company, anybody out there, any of the distilleries, Heaven Hill, Brown Foreman, if y'all feel like sending us samples, New Riff, hey, we always take samples and we will definitely review your samples. So please send us your samples. But thank you for sending us a sample of this. So I guess we'll get right into it. Booker's is a barrel-proof bourbon that has been coming out ever since Booker T. No was the master distiller of Jim Beam Rickhouse, or Jim Beam Distillery. He was the master distiller and used to make all the lines of Jim Beam products. He made his own called Booker's Bourbon in homage to him. It was the ones that he picked out, his cherry-picked barrels at first. They were barrel strength, right? And now they come out in series. So there's, we're actually going to do one of the series, but they come out like 4 times a year in a different quarterly batch series. It's a very small batch that he mixed together and blended to back in the day to be able to make the Bookers. But the new Bookers are made in his tribute in the same fashion with the new master distiller over there. So anything you want to add to that, John?
It's no secret Booker's is definitely my favorite bourbon on the market. It was even more so a year or so ago before they actually implemented the price hike. But even with the price hike, they're still one of the better values on the market. For the quality bourbon, the quality juice that they actually put into the bottle, with around the age, because Booker's averages about 9 years age on the age statement.
Yeah. I think back then it was even more, wasn't it?
Back then it was even more, but right now it's about 9 years. It's going to come out pretty much cask strength, overproof. You really can't find a better bottle and a bourbon that tastes as flavorful as it does with that high proof. So I'm definitely excited to see what this is going to bring. What year did you say this was from?
This is the 80s. I think it's 1981 or 82.
81.
I'm not sure which year it is, but it's Brown Wax Booker's.
Older
right?
than myself.
Right. So Booker's came out with the brown wax on the top in the 70s and 80s. When they turned over in the 90s and 2000s, they changed to black wax. So that's why people say Booker's Brown Wax. It's because that denotes the older stuff that they had. I guess we'll go into the nose a little bit. Oh God, the nose is just crazy.
So the nose is ridiculous. It's incredibly sweet, which is something that's consistent with all Booker's products. And it definitely didn't lose anything on its fastball after all those decades sitting in that bottle waiting to be opened. It's very sweet, very syrupy, almost molasses-like.
Yeah, very vanilla-y, very cherry, kind of like the old Henry McKenna that we talked about earlier. Yeah, same
but
thing.
But it does have some citrus that kind of pops through. Like in real small spurts, you can kind of pick it up.
It has a real dankness to it too. It's got like that dank basement, like old Rick House smell to it.
It does.
What flavors do you get out of it, Gary?
I get a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of caramel.
Yeah, definitely caramel. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Not too tannic on the smell.
Not at all.
Has a little maybe like a wine smell to it, like a smell like a Pinot Noir or I don't know. Maybe that's just the age of the bourbon that's been sitting there.
Perhaps it kind of reminds me of how sherrys smell.
Yes, sherry. That's the word I was looking for. I knew it was a wine. Sherry.
Yeah,
I'm
sherry.
not a wine guy.
It like it smells a lot like sherry, or like a what is it? A manzala that's made out of Andalusia in southern Spain. It gives you that kind of cherry, almondy finish on the scent that is just. It smells incredible. It smells incredible. It makes you want to drink it.
It does. It does make you want to drink it.
which is definitely saying something.
It's a plus, yeah.
Yeah,
It helps.
yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick taste.
Cheers.
Pinky up when you're tasting.
Whoa.
All right. First thing I noticed upon my second taste. When I told you that the nose definitely didn't lose anything on its fastball, neither did the juice. If you put this in front of anybody, no label, that's familiar with bourbon, you sit it in front of them, it tastes like Booker's.
Yeah.
It has that expression where it explodes on your palate like Booker's explodes on your palate. It's strong. It's almost like a Bugatti, right?
Right.
It's got enough horsepower to kill you, but it's so sexy that you gotta try.
That's like a Bugatti.
You gotta try.
That's a new hashtag.
You gotta try.
Like a Bugatti. I'm gonna put that on the post. Hashtag like a Bugatti. But yeah, I mean, I'm super surprised. So we've drank lots of Old Dusty stuff, right, John? Gary's kind of new to this Old Dusty thing, but he's getting there. But we've drank a lot of Old Dusties. And all the Old Dusties that we drank, usually, like we even have a Jim Beam 1974 train set, stuff like that. All the alcohol is gone. There's no more punch to it. It's basically like bourbon tea or bourbon water, which to me is great. It still has an alcohol content, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't have any burn. There's no burn, I mean, it's smooth as sweet tea. You know what I'm saying? And Gary, you haven't had some, so I'll give you some when we finish this post. But if you taste that, you know what that tastes like. That sweet tea, it has like no burn to it. There's nothing left. It's basically all the alcohol burn has evaporated, right?
That is not this.
That did not happen here.
This is Booker's.
How after all these years, and it's the same thing as Jim Beam, the train set. Now, not the same thing. I got that look from John here. You saw that. But, I mean, of course, it's Booker's, but I'm saying it's from the same distillery. Right?
Similar mash bill.
Right.
Honestly,
why is it that it didn't happen to this? Is the question.
Honestly, what I'm thinking, and you know, you guys weren't around for this, but before we actually started tasting, I asked Kevin, how was this stored?
Right.
Because you know, some of the Old Dusties, they may be in porcelain decanters, they may be in crystal decanters, they may be in a bottle that's yet to be corked, which is how this one has been stored. So it wasn't a lot of evaporation. It tastes like, to me, especially with the fact that they dipped the bottles in wax.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of evaporation that occurred. It couldn't have been.
Well, actually, I saw the bottle before he opened it, because you know the guy's a good friend of mine in Birmingham, and it actually had lost.
Really?
Yeah, it was down. You see where the neck is on this one? Here, let me show you. This is where the neck was when he popped it. So this is a new one, but this is where the neck was where he popped it. It was actually had a low fill on it, low fill level. Now I don't know if it was filled like that back in the 80s,
yeah,
or if it evaporated. We thought it evaporated because to me that would make sense. You know, after 20 years,
there's no way it evaporated.
Wow.
I mean, this is if it evaporated, then that brown wax Booker is stronger than any Bookers that's on the market.
And it may be that may be what it is, man. It may have been like a powerhouse back in the day.
This, from a sheer power standpoint, is comparable with the current day Bookers.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's
like the smell's way different.
35, 36. It smells a lot different. It tastes a lot different. It has that Booker's power, but it's a little bit softer on the tongue from a flavor expression standpoint than your typical Booker's is. But this is a good drink.
I agree.
You agree?
Except for the soft on the tongue part, I was like.
But you know what? The new stuff is a little more viscous. It's a little thicker than this.
We're gonna have to pour him some of the new stuff off camera.
We'll pour him some new stuff off camera, yeah,
so he can get a sense of what I'm talking about.
Build a sensibility for it.
Yeah, this is. I like this.
So bottles of this now go for close to 200 something bucks or more, depending on where you get it from. You can only get it on the secondary market because they don't sell it anymore. So back in the day, it was probably 59, 49 bucks. You know, probably in the 80s, it might have not even been that much. Wasn't even that much in the 80s. But at the current pricing, the only way we can do these Dusties is at the current pricing. So at the current pricing of a couple $100, we're going to ask two questions. First, you're going to rate the thing via our rating scale. Everybody's been watching, you know our rating scale already. And then we're going to say, buy a bottle, try it at the bar first, or bust, drain pour it down the drain. So you want to start off, Don?
So for me, this ranks pretty high for me. Of course, it's no secret that I absolutely love Booker's. And it gives me everything I like about Booker's, but in a little bit different expression. For me, I'm going to rate this probably in the 93 to 95 range.
Yes.
Like, I love this. And even at $200, let me tell you, I spent $200 on some real shitty bourbon. I would spend $200 on this. And
I agree. I really do agree with that. I feel about the same way. To me, this is a good, solid 94, 93, 94. Even with me not being a big fan of Booker's, it has a huge rating scale for me.
Y'all gotta excuse the background noise. We got some more family.
Yeah, we got some more folks coming in. You know this guy. He's a little late to the party, but that's okay. We got more stuff for him to taste. We're gonna go through about 6 bottles. So if we sound drunk after about the 4th or 5th post, it's probably because we are. So, but yeah, to me, this is definitely a bottle I would buy. I wouldn't try it in a bar because it'll cost too much to try it in a bar. You'd have to find somebody that can kill somebody or somebody's grandpappy to be able to try it in a bar. It's definitely not drain pour, anything but. But I mean, I would definitely buy a bottle of it. What do you think, Gary? Being a new bourbon connoisseur, what do you think about this?
I definitely rated high 90s. It's excellent.
Yeah,
it's excellent. Yes, definitely gives me everything I'm looking for when I go for a bourbon. And like I've had Booker's before, so it's like I'm not like a Booker's connoisseur, but I've had it before, and this does not disappoint, not one bit. Especially being from the 80s, it's like wow.
Yes.
And if the world famous Gary Jordan feels like that, then you know it's the truth.
Why not? Right. And then what would you score it on that scoreboard? Where would you where would you throw the dart?
Definitely 95.
95?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's looking pretty clear across the board. 95, 95, 94. You know, just because I don't know why. I guess
Just to be conscious.
Just to be a jerk, right? Just to be a jerk, I'm going to marry 94. Bump it down a point. But other than that, I mean, hey, it is fantastic. If you can get your hands on the bottle on the secondary market, or you can go find it, hats off to you. I will be getting him in touch with you, so you can go ahead and undisclosed Patreon viewer, so he can get the rest of your bottle, because I'm sure he's going to want it. so I will give him your number and see if he can get with you. But like I said, guys, thank you so much, and cheers to good bourbon.
Empty glass. Boom.
With the
Boom, with the empty glasses.
Y'all have a good one.